super lovely.
当褪去光鲜外表，当我卸下睫毛膏，脱掉高跟鞋的脚，是否还能站得高？当一天掌声变少。
I remember this gal, and I find her unique. I find her stylistically and vocal texture wise, I find she stands out amongst the female artists. I remember liking her.
可还有人对我笑，停下歌声和舞蹈，我是否重要？我镜子里的他，好陌生的脸颊，那个我是真，那个是假。
Actually, I really like her. I find that the way she uses her voice, the way she switches through vocal textures, for me is very current. I think it's really modern, and it touches me personally, and I think she's in good control.
我用别人的爱定义存在，怕生命空白，却忘了该不该让梦掩盖当年。
And if you listen to the phrase endings, you can hear that she's putting her spin on a version of vibrato, let's say. Again, very, really a modern stylization.
那女孩，假如你看见我这样的我。
Iru. Do you see how she puts the glottal stops? I think this is one of her signature sounds or her signature moves as an artist. She'll put glottal stops, which is that sound. She'll put that in the middle of a word. Again, it's a very modern thing to do. It's a current trend, if you will.
但却又软弱会闪躲，还是说你更爱我？
Oh, I love her sweet, subtle vibrato at the end of lines. And I think she's a really solid singer, but you know, the editing has cleaned up any pitch changes, but I still think she's really quite supported and in good control. Oh, you see, when singers first started doing that, I was annoyed by it because I felt that it ruined the communication of singing, that they were interrupting the flow of the lyric, but I've come to appreciate it. It is one of the characteristics of what we call indie girl singing here in the West. And I'd be curious who this artist's inspirations were, and I would almost bet, I mean, who knows? Maybe you guys could tell me in the comments if you know, but I would bet that she has some inspirations from the West, because this is very indie girl stylizations.
还有谁把我看到？莫非是我不够好？谁会来拥抱？
One last thing regarding that. Not a lot of vibrato. So the vibrato she does have is unique and interesting, and she's definitely using decoration at the end of phrases or thoughtful phrase endings. But you will find, I think she's younger. I would assume she's younger by her looks and especially by her sound. But you'll see that she's not using vibrato a lot. Certainly not big fat waves, and she barely holds notes. That's another more modern thing to do and youthful thing to do, is not hold out endings very long. I would say da da na. She would say da da na. You know what I mean?
我镜子里的他
I'd be like, I don't even know if I'm saying this word correctly. Right? My generation and the kind of music, that more diva singing, really holds the notes out. She's more, it's kind of trendy and definitely youthful and a more subtle style of singing.
好陌生的脸颊，那个我是真，那个是假。我用别人的爱定义存在，怕生命空白，我却忘了该不该让梦
Do you hear that little subtle vibrato on the tail? I really like that.
掩盖当年那女孩。假如你看见我这样的我，躲在个角落，会闪躲，还是说你更爱我？
I find her really sincere and really authentic. I believe her. Do you know what I mean? So we're at the apex, let's say, of the song right now. This is the biggest moment. Usually it's about 3/4 of the way through a song, somewhere around the bridge in the final chorus. So this is the most lifted and elevated that she's going to be in this song, probably. It's worth noting that she's not, in this performance anyway, I can't entirely remember what else I've seen from her, but she's not really using a lot of belting. Again, no big showy long notes, no big loopy vibrato or drastic movements, but it's still so beautiful. As a matter of fact, it is easier to listen to and easier to love and easier to relax into than more diva style or more just really more showy singers, which you guys know I love that stuff. And that's more what I do, is more, I'm more about the big notes and stuff. But this is actually something that I really appreciate, this kind of singer and this kind of performance, where it's more about the tone of your voice and the subtleties. It's a lot less, I say jazz hands, it's less about the razzle dazzle and more about the subtleties and the individual things that an artist does that makes them sound like themselves. So I have quite an appreciation for this style of singer and this style of song, partially because it's not what I do, and I find it really relaxing, this style of singing. One last thing. I find that it is underestimated, this style of singing, because there is not as many big sailing high notes and riffs and runs, so people can underestimate this style of singing. But this takes a lot of skill, different tools, but this is still a very skilled singer, in my opinion. Like a lot of restraint. A lot of thoughtful register changes and a lot of restraint. That's what I really wanted to say. It takes a lot of restraint to not just use big showy things. I love her. Oh, lovely. Yeah, really lovely. And this arrangement is beautiful. The piano and the strings, Really nice. Yeah, I think this is a great performance. I really like her. I think she's one of my fave females.
She's good.
She's really cool.
Yeah.
Is she quite popular? Or?
She's getting more popular these days, actually.
She's young, hey?
Yeah. Way younger than us.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't come up on this style of music, so we are still in the big, bold. We make big moves. This is just like Billie Eilish. She's like Chinese Billie Eilish. Everything is like contained and restrained, but just like Billie Eilish, you can tell that she's in, like, when she does do vibrato, you're like, oh, it's like some Ella Fitzgerald up in there. Like, you can tell she has a good palate and she's listened to a lot of things. I like her.
Yeah, younger people like this kind of style.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Are you in control of your voice? Singers and speakers, I want you to try this. We're going to sing 3 different vocal onsets. That means how we start making sound. First, glottal stops. Try this sound. Like awesome, oodle, even. Now sing with me. Next, the old H. Say ha, ha, ha. Now sing with me. Ha, 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 ha. And lastly, this is my favorite one, and it tends to be the most tricky, open and unarticulated. Try this. Ha, 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 ha. Notice I'm not saying ha, ha, and I'm not saying I'm just opening my throat and starting the sound. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha. Now sing with me. Ha, 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 ha. Did you get all 3?